Good evening, Teacher Daisy. My name is Victor Hurtado. I'm next to talk about the definition and concept of approach, technique, and a method. And after that, I'm going to explain more easily through example. Okay, so let's start. We have the first one definition of approach. An approach in language teaching refers to the overarching theory or set of the principle about the nature language and principal language learning, okay? And teaching, sorry. It provides an broad psychological framework or a different perspective on how language are acquired, obviously, and what factor influence this process. Okay. Furthermore, approaches are the theoretical and not specific to any single classroom activity or strategy. For example, we have the communicative approach. Okay, this communicative approach make emphasize in the using language for meaningful, okay, communication, while the student behaviorist approach focuses on the habit formation through repetition and race form. Okay, so let's continue with the definition of a method. Okay, what is a method? A method is a structured plan for teaching language based on the principle and approach. It provides a clear idea, obviously, and systematic frameworks for the teacher to follow, including goals, sequences of context and procedures, okay, for presenting and practicing language, okay. Methods are more practical than approaches and bridge the gap between in the theory, obviously, and the classroom practice. Okay, so for example, in this occasion, we can use the text-based learning. Okay, why? Because this is a method that focuses on the completing meaningful tasks to acquire language. Okay, so it's all important to remind us. And finally, we have the definition of technique. Okay, what is technique? Okay, a technique is a specific activity, process, or strategy used in the classroom to implement the method, and it is a practical tool or an action that the teacher used to facilitate the learning. In simple words, okay? It's a simple tool that the teacher used for facilitate the learning. Simple like that. Techniques are the most detailed level of teaching because can vary widely depending of the context. Okay, for example, example include flashcard. We can use storytelling to engage the students, or also we can use the games. For example, Simon Says and another games. For example, not I don't know, depending of the context for physical vocabulary race format. Okay, now I'm going to explain the relationship between them. Okay, for example, in approach we have the why. Why the approach philosophy or theory being teaching. Okay, so after that we have the method. The method is the what the plan or system that applies the approach in the classroom. And finally we have the technique. And the technique is more easily because we have the how the specific action or activity is used to execute the method, or how the method we are going to use for learning process. Okay, example. Okay, I am English teacher and I have a classes. Okay, so in approach I have to use the interactive play approach. How we can use this? Simple. Learners acquire vocabulary through fun activities and dynamics, for example, like games, to simulate the real life. Scenarios proponing activity to engagement and natural retention of information and words. The second one is the method. What method we can apply here? Okay, for me, can apply the game-based learning or gamification, depending. But we can use the game-based learning because the learners practice and apply vocabulary through interactive games, making language acquisition enjoyable and memorable. Okay, so and finally we have the technique. What technique what technique I am going to apply here? Okay, we have in introduction part I am going to practice the modeling that it consists in introduce the new vocabulary. For example, in this occasion I am going to use or explain the verbs. For example, run, jump, walk by performing action and saying the word aloud for my students. Example, this is running, watch me run. Okay, so my dear students can make a little relationship in the verb and action. In the second part, we have the play activity. In the play activity is engagement, okay? Engagement technique. Organize a game like Simon Says, where the students perform the action as they hear the word, simple like that, okay? And finally, we have the follow-up. The follow-up consists in the reflection, and students describe what action they performance during the game using the vocabulary. More easily to explain, we have the third part, example in action, we have the introduction, the teacher model action, like running, jumping, walking, and say the corresponding word aloud for that student. In the second part, to the play activity, the class plays Simon Says. For example, the teacher says, Simon says jump. Students jump and repeat, I am jumping. And finally, we have the follow-up. In the follow-up, we have to describe the game. Describe the action in sentences. For example, I won, I jump, I ran, and I walk. Simple like that. Thank you so much, teacher Daisy.